You've for sure seen a movie with Doug Jones in it, but chances are you have no idea what this actor actually looks like.
Buck-tooth wop-right firefly from hell!
That's because Doug Jones is an actor who specializes in playing characters who require extensive makeup and wardrobe options, obscuring his human appearance. We're here to shed some light on this talented actor and give you some more insight into a man that you rarely get the chance to actually see. Doug Jones was born in Indianapolis on May 24, 1960. He's co-starred in numerous films and television shows in his career, many of them iconic in their own way.
Hi, I am Pencilhead.
Chances are, though, unless you're a hardcore cinephile, you'll likely had no idea that the Pale Man in Pan's Labyrinth was the same guy who plays Saru in Star Trek Discovery. In fact, you likely didn't know that Doug Jones has over 150 film credits to his name. Before getting his big break, though, Jones was just a regular guy with a desire to do acting. In fact, Jones stated that the reason for his want to become an actor was a bizarre quest to feel validated. At Ball State University, he discovered the art of being a mime when he took on the job of being the school's mascot, Charlie Cardinal. He stated that being a mime was an eye-opening experience for him as it allowed him to become a visual storyteller without actually relying on words to emote. That intrigue in letting the body do the work for him would basically forever change his life. Jones moved to LA in 1985 with his college sweetheart Lori in order to pursue acting as a full-time job. Of course, nothing happened overnight, and Jones's earliest work was actually TV commercials. His fourth paid acting job was working for McDonald's for their Mac Tonight campaign, which saw Jones lip-syncing a jazzy tune while wearing a giant crescent moon mask. But Jones's early work wasn't acting in the traditional sense, where the actor would go on set and read lines. He was often taken on to do contortionist work, which is the performing art of manipulating one's body into unusual and seemingly impossible poses thanks to his extreme flexibility. Jones stated that so many ad men back in the day wanted people to fit into boxes or other bizarre tricks of that nature, and even stated that he once squeezed into a box in order to illustrate relaxed fit jeans. From there, Jones did some work on direct-to-video films like Carnal Crimes in 1991. But in 1992, Hollywood came to Jones, and he had a small role in Tim Burton's Batman Returns as the Thin Clown. While it wasn't a major role for Jones at all, it was the first step towards working in the industry and getting the recognition he deserved by some of the top talents in the industry. In an interview with the New York Times in 2018, Jones talked about why the industry seemed to favor him for those kinds of roles, to which Jones replied, quote, "The reputation I got was that I was tall and skinny and moved well and wore a lot of crap on my face and didn't complain about it. Apparently for actors, that makes you exceptional." From Batman, things only went uphill for Jones. The small part in a Batman movie led directly to his auditioning for his next big role, which was that of Billy Butcherson in the fan-favorite film Hocus Pocus.
I killed you once, I shall kill you again!
While the movie was a bit of a dud when it first came out to cinemas, it has since gone on to become a favorite and has gained a loyal following over the years. Much like Batman Returns, however, the role saw Jones barely saying anything and having him covered with extensive makeup, masking his real face. Jones told BuzzFeed that despite the film being an earlier part of his career and that the film flopped at the box office, fans are always so amazed to learn that he played the role of Billy, and it has gone on to become one of Jones's most beloved roles. Another iconic role that Jones played, which resulted in less makeup being applied, was that of the lead gentleman in what is arguably the best episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer ever, Hush. He was told to pursue that role as it was a creepy guy who doesn't talk kind of role, and that was something Jones's agent knew he'd be good at considering his filmography at that point. Jones revealed his audition actually creeped Joss Whedon out, and he landed the part for the episode, which premiered in 1999. Initially, the gentlemen's masks already had the smile inside of the rubber, but Whedon liked Jones and the other gentlemen's smiles so much that he ordered the masks and makeup to be redone in order for the actors' natural smiles to emerge through. The gentleman also had to sport silver dentures for the smiles, so Jones had to keep that sinister smile on his face all day for a week thanks to the dentures. When asked how a nice guy like himself can channel the creeper, the sinister, and the unknown so well, Jones stated that he believes that we all have some little bit of evil in us naturally, and when it comes to acting, he just has to use that brush. But he also points out that most evil characters on a show or film don't know they're evil, which makes the process that much easier. When most actors land on set every day, they have to go in for hair and makeup, no matter how simple their getup is. But for Jones, quite often he's sitting in the makeup chair for hours on end. Surprisingly, one of his most elaborate-looking faces, that of Saru on Star Trek Discovery, only takes around 2 hours to complete, which is mercifully short, says Jones. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum was his work on the Hellboy franchise, which was directed by Guillermo del Toro. From there, the two would go on to work together numerous times over the years, most recently in The Shape of Water, a role that director Guillermo del Toro believed to be one of the hardest projects he's undertaken because of the sea monster. Having the audience get on board and root for a silent, captive creature is no easy task, and Jones had to convey a lot of emotions in order to not only get Sally Hawkins to fall in love with the sea creature, but for the audience to buy into the bizarre story as well. The Best Picture award at the Oscars in 2018 seemingly confirms that yes, audiences and critics did buy into the fantastical and unusual film that del Toro brought to life, and the heart and soul of the film did ride largely on what Jones was able to convey without saying anything. His most iconic roles comes from one of del Toro's most acclaimed films, the Spanish fantasy film Pan's Labyrinth. Jones took up the role of two characters in this film, that of the Faun, who guides Ophelia to the other world, and of course the Pale Man, a sinister character who, despite his desire to eat children, became something of a pop culture sensation. Jones would comment in an interview that the Pale Man was the character that would always get transformed into comics and cartoons. When it came time to do Hellboy, Jones was actually a little hesitant to take on the role at first. Not because of the makeup, which took 7 hours each day to apply, but because of the demonic nature of the film. Jones is deeply religious, referring to himself as a dyed-from-the-wool Christian from the Midwest, and cited the demonic nature of the film as an initial worry for him. But he put his faith in del Toro and was impressed with what he did with the script and tone and went on to do the role. The makeup for Abe, by the way, saw Jones sitting on a stool without back support or standing for those hours. Picture doing that every single day just to get ready for the actual day of work. On makeup and costumes, Jones revealed that the transformation into these characters that he plays is always harder than he'd want it to be. He cites that the costumes and makeup make him feel very overheated and they tend to weigh him down, and interestingly, he feels the transformative outfits make him feel more isolated. How do costumes make you feel more isolated, you may be wondering? Well, Jones stated that because of the extended hours in makeup and the movement limitations imposed on him due to his outfits prevent him from being as socially involved with his fellow castmates and the crew as he would actually prefer. This feeling can actually be rather overwhelming, but despite this, Jones endures and continues to come back to these kinds of roles. So why bother doing all of this work when motion capture is so good these days that we can just stick some dots on Jones and have him act out the role, with all the makeup and prosthetics being added digitally in post-production? He argues that at the end of the day, he believes audiences want to connect with real people, and even if that person is playing a monster that is not of this world, knowing there's a tangibility to the character and that it's ultimately a human's interpretation of what that monster is really helps with that. Old school cinema at work, and that's the way he likes it. Jones cites that unlike most actors, he actually gets it quite easy when it comes to his personal life. Jones is a respected and highly sought-out actor who's been in some of the most talked-about shows and movies in recent years. But he can still go walking down the street as the tall, skinny guy because his most iconic roles result in his face being obscured from the public eye, and that gives him a great level of comfort he believes many of his peers don't have. The Shape of Water received 13 Oscar nominations, and Jones does admit that the role has resulted in him getting a bit more recognition on the street, but it's never enough where it impedes on his life. Unlike most of his roles, though, which see him either get dubbed like Abe in Hellboy or reduced to not speaking at all, a more recent effort by Jones sees him doing quite a bit of speaking in a major role. That is, of course, the role of the Kelpian commander of a USS Starship on the hit show Star Trek Discovery.
Saru.
First Officer, Saru.
The role saw Jones get nominated for a Saturn Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Television Series. Jones did not have to audition for the role of Saru. The production actually sought him out, likely due to his reputation and willingness to don copious amounts of prosthetics and makeup for a part. Thankfully for Jones, the role of Saru does not require as much time in makeup as some of his previous jobs, likely due to the fact that Saru only needs prosthetics and makeup on his face and hands rather than his whole body. Most recently, Jones appeared as Baron Afanas on the TV version of What We Do in the Shadows for 2 episodes. As for what'll come next, we can certainly expect Jones to return as Saru in the 3rd season of Discovery as they venture into new and uncharted territory, and we can only hope that Del Toro takes him on again for whatever imaginative feature the director conjures up in the future. For now, we're grateful that there is an actor out there willing to sit in makeup for hours on end for the role, who helps bring imagination to life even if that means his natural face isn't in the limelight. But what he has helped bring to life will certainly endure in cinematic history. Personally, we can't wait to see what imaginative and creative role Doug Jones will tackle next. What's your favorite Doug Jones role? Are you a fan, or is this information new to you? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in your playlist every day.